Alright, so I made another video. It's an add-on to this. As you can see, I've got FreeCAD open and I've got iMovie open. I'm learning a hell of a lot, but it takes a lot of time. So the next video, I apologise for the angles. I was holding the camera wrong, but it just shows you some of the quality that you get from China. They look great on the website and they look great when they arrive, but when you take them apart and you get into the inner guts of them, you can really see how sloppy those people are at, there's just no pride in their work. They put it together, paint it with grease, put it in a crate and ship it off and say thank you very much for your dollars. So I apologise for the angles. They're all over the place. Some of it was quite difficult to video, as you'll see, but anyway, hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. So that's most of the lathe down, apart from the main assembly. The bed, that's still up top. And I'm just going through this and wondering, blue overspray and, I've actually scraped in these here, but then they've gone and chamfered over all the corners. It's, and that one there, that looks like it's had a grinder on the corner of that one. It's terrible. I'm just looking at the handles. You see, it's been obviously turned. And that one's okay. It'd be better when it's cleaned up. If you look at the one next to it, you can actually see in here, it looks like they've had a file to it. It's just unbelievable. They've been tearing at it with a file because obviously didn't machine it properly. I mean, I'm looking at them. They do look like they're from a casting on the inside there. So these are from a casting. They're just, it's just terrible. And as you get more and more into it, you look, there's more chip paint, and where it was bolted down in the box, you see there was no bolt on here. There was 3 bolts on it. When I got it, only 2 of them were remaining, and you can see, the paint's rubbed off where it's been moving and rubbing in the box, because if they'd used nylock nuts, they wouldn't have loosened and it wouldn't have moved around in the container. It's just, well, beyond belief. You pay all that money for something and really all you're getting is shit that's put together quickly because they want to make a fast buck. I know they produce them by the thousand, but I just wish they produced them in Canada, because I'd rather buy something Canadian or American made that I could afford. I don't even think they're made here. China's got the market closed on it. Mass production. Look in here. And get a screwdriver, it'd be better. This here, see it? It's actually picked up on a screwdriver. And it's all up in there, all over. It's all got to be cleaned out. I want to blow it out with an airline, but I'll carry it all the way back up the stairs, and it weighs a ton. Well, I guess I'll have to be back in about 2 hours. So I thought I would take off the gearbox cover just to have a look. I'm sorry, it's difficult, but if you look down in there, you can see, where are we? Metal chips. And down there, where are we? As you can see, there right at the bottom, metal chips and sand, and probably cast. That's from the casting of the machine. So I'm going to drain the oil. So I'm going to drain the oil, and also looking here, there's a bit of oil in there, but there's actually none showing in there. Now I can't understand that because there's only one drain plug on the bottom, and that's right there. Yet there's two oil compartments. There's one in this is your speeds and your feeds gearbox for your thread cutting and your cross power feed, and this is your main gearbox, the head stuff. And there's also a ding on the bed right there. Anyway, the mill is together, and I haven't used it yet. I want to get the lathe set up, and there's my little mini lathe. And get everything put away, and then hopefully I can start having some fun. But I've still got a lot of clean-up work to do. The one thing that I'm going to show right now, because I noticed it when I was taking it apart, is I'm going to turn over. This is the carriage, and I'm going to just give that a little tap. Look at all of this. It's sand and oil and God. You pay good money and you get piss poor workmanship. Once I get it all done and all together, and then I'm going to go through everything else that I got with the machines, because I bought extra tooling and things, and then hopefully I'll be able to do a sit down video and I'll tell you where I got them, what I paid for them, and why I went the way I did, the upsides and the downsides, because believe me, the upsides was the pricing, but the downside was the end result. But we'll get to that later. I've still got, you see, I made this room out of, it's just in my basement. I've got my pegboard up, and I've got a bench, I've got a couple of shelves, I've got my grinder down here, my little compressor, I've got my belt sander. I haven't put anything on that corner of the bench that I fitted up. A couple more shelves, and you see I've got a couple of windows, and it's actually quite chilly down in this basement all the time. I reckon in the winter I'm still going to have a heater in here. But anyway, got plenty of power, so it might get a paint job. I don't know. I'll see how I feel. But I got this down here. My plan worked perfectly. Winched it up onto the top of my steps outside, and then I winched it down into my basement, which is quite hairy, but it worked well. Anyway, until I find something else or get onto something else, I'm probably not going to do anything else until I get them all up and running. Oh no, I'm going to actually drain the gearbox, get that oil out and we'll see what that looks like. Alright, later. Right then, there was actually another drain plug. There's one under there. So I'm kind of getting it clean. It's really difficult to see in there. Anyway, I'm having to tilt the machine so I can drain it all out, and I've flushed it with kerosene. And what I've been doing now is I've got one of these, I call them Neo Diddley magnets, and I've just, come on, focus. I've just swept this around in the bottom, and as you can see, it's pretty nasty. I can't actually get in there, so I'm just giving it a good flush with kerosene, and there's crap coming out, the oil's out, and this is the crap that the kerosene's flushing out. This is the kerosene flush from the main gearbox, and there's still, I don't know if we can see it, still grime in there. And I don't know what oil this is. I presume it's just a synthetic gear oil, but I don't have any. That's in the bottom of the tub. And what I'm doing is I'm putting it through a coffee filter, because the oil itself hasn't really been used and it's quite clean once it's gone through the filter. Anyway, that's where we're at. So when I'm finished, what I'm actually going to do is I've got two of these that are about, I don't know, half an inch, something like that, 9/16 in size, nice thick magnets. If you look inside, see the gears on the back, which is where most of the metal filings were. They don't actually touch the bottom. Oh god, this is difficult. So, yeah, there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of magnets, one at each side, on the left and the right, because that's where all of the, well, I say iron filings or whatever it were accumulating. So I'll just leave them in the bottom there and let them stay there, and anything that comes off it will collect inside. As for inside there, there's not a lot I can do. All you've got is, this is your fill hole, and that's your level. And I really don't want to be taking it apart. But I think I've got the worst out, so I'm just going to carry on. I'll filter this oil, and I've got a gallon of kerosene, just using some old spray bottles. I'll give them another couple of sprays, see if I can get any more out, and then I'll run the magnet again, close them up, put the oil in, and then I can start cleaning all this raw. God, I've still got a lot of work to do. I mean, there was no wax coating on the machine, you know, the wax preservative they normally ship them with. It was just axle grease, and if you look at it, and if I have a good look, I'll actually find you some paintbrush hairs. It was just put on with a paintbrush. And then this here's got a little bit of grease. I mean, I don't know if it should have an oil in it. There's no oil level glass, so I'm gonna tip it out again, give it a good pat, and then I'll take it in my shop and blow it out with an airline, and I'll flush it with kerosene, and I've got some silicone grease in my shop, a spray can of silicone grease. I'll put that on it, and then I'm going to obviously take the chuck apart and the top slide and everything else. These can wait till later. I actually got the steady rest and the following rest for the machine. They can wait till later. And then tailstock. And hopefully by Christmas, and it's June now, hopefully by Christmas I'll be making chips with the thing. But I'm really looking forward to it because I was very disappointed with that little thing. Although I got it really cheap. But I'll tell you about that later. Anyway, back to my cleaning job. And to end the video, I've got to say a great big thank you to my daughter, Nadja. She was my first subscriber and first commenter on my video. And I also mentioned I do have a son as well. He's called Joss, and I'm very proud of them both. Great kids. Thanks again.